Hello there, I hope you are enjoying your festivities so far. Thank you so much for making time and joining us on K24 Evening Edition as we give you the latest updates from across the country. Without further ado, let's take a look at our top stories tonight.
Tumefanya nini kupata mahali ya nani amemchukua na alichukuliwa kivipi? Ni nini mumefanya haswa nyinyi kama polisi?
Demonstrations rock Embu town following the abduction of Billy Mwangi, even as more families come out claiming they don't know the whereabouts of the abducted kin.
President William Ruto must take full responsibility and immediately address these egregious violations. To remain silent or inactive is to suggest that these actions are being carried out with his knowledge and consent.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua blasts the government over the recent wave of abductions, even as President William Ruto vowed to bring the abductions to an end. I know it comes from above. Celebrated Malkia striker Janet Wanja, known for her illustrious career in volleyball, passes on after a battle with gallbladder cancer.
Sisi tukajipata sasa nyumba yetu imesaa sobwa na maji. Sasa sisi tulijipata tumebebwa pamoja na nyumba.
The Mai Mahiu tragedy, 8 months later, residents still picking up the pieces after the disaster disrupted their lives, leaving 60 people dead. It's good to have you in Evening Edition. My name is Harriet Chimen. Our sign language interpreter is Walter Asewe. Now, as the clouds of abductions continues to loom over the country, Gen Z youths in Nairobi have announced nationwide protests set to begin January this coming new year. They are demanding the release of all abducted persons, terming the acts as a violation of the Constitution. Meanwhile, residents in Embu town thronged the streets today, protesting against the abduction of Billy Mwangi, who has been missing since Saturday. Innocent Ogari with the details.
After the Gen Z announced nationwide protests against abduction starting January in the new year, activists have vowed to get back to the streets to condemn the recent myriad of abductions in the country.
Kwa hivyo hatutatishwa, hatutaogopa. Na kwa hivyo Jumatatu ijayo, na hii tunatoa ilani kwa viongozi wote wa taifa hili, vituo vyote vya polisi na Inspector General wa polisi kwamba Jumatatu ijayo, kama mbaya, tumeamua kwamba tutarudi kwenye barabara kwa sababu lugha ambayo mnaelewa ni lugha ya barabara, lugha ya maandamano. Na kama hiyo ndo lugha ambayo mnaelewa, basi tupo tayari, tumejitoa kama vijana na tutakuja na tutafanya kuzungumza na nyinyi kwa lugha ambayo mnaelewa. So Jumatatu vijana wote wa taifa hili, mahali popote ulipo, haijalishi kama ni sikukuu, hamna cha kusherehekea mwaka huu. Tutafanya kuwa lengo kuu la mwaka ujao, mwaka kuanzia sasa, ni kuhakikisha kwamba uongozi huu ambao unamdhulumu mwananchi unaondoka katika uongozi wa taifa hili.
They want President William Ruto's regime to come out and produce the innocent young lives, claiming this act is against the Constitution.
The question is, who is abducting Kenyans? If it is not the police, if it is not NIS, if it's not the DCI, then who is abducting Kenyans? And are we saying that the government is unable to arrest criminals who are disfranchising the rights of Kenyans? So we want to know from Mr. President, your Inspector of Police has told Kenyans,
the situation peaceful demonstrations protesting against the rising cases of abductions. The residents are demanding the immediate release of Billy Mwangi, who was abducted on Saturday. Led by Manyata MP Gitonga Mukunji, they have called on the police to expedite the search for Billy Mwangi.
Ile haki tunatafuta ni haki ya Billy Mwangi. Kesho ni Billy. Tunataka tupate Billy Mwangi. Na tunataka tueleze hiyo investigation inafika.
The MP says 6 days have passed and fear continues to grip Billy's family.
Ni ukweli hakuna maneno ambayo imumepata hadi saa hii. Lakini kuna kitu najiuliza ya kwamba hii maneno yote ina connect na kitu moja. Kwani kuna kitengo fulani nyingine ambayo inafanya outside police.
Mwangi was reportedly abducted while at a barber shop by 4 armed men who fled in a vehicle that sped towards the Embu-Nairobi highway. Embu West OCPD Zakario Mae on his part confirmed that the police department is collaborating with other security agencies to locate Mwangi.
Tangu Jumamosi koti tumepata na iko kwa serikali. Wameendelea kutafuta. Because vile immediately ilifanyika hapa walikuja wakaripoti. Immediately tukaanza.
All eyes are now on the government as the nation awaits a full report and a resolution that ensures the safety return of abducted victims. Innocent Ogaro, K24 TV.
Well, meanwhile, more families are coming forward claiming they do not know the whereabouts of their loved ones after unknown masked men allegedly took them. Latest figures indicate that the number of those abducted has risen to 13 this December alone, bringing the total to 93 since the Gen Z protests began. 4 new cases have emerged from Lolongo and Githurai areas, with families unaware of the whereabouts of their loved ones aged between 23 and 35. Martin Opio interacted with some of these families and shares with us their anguish.
A cloud of grief engulfing the release of press statements as these families remain clueless about the whereabouts of their loved ones and their fate. Susan Kalana, sister to Kalana Mwema, claims that her brother disappeared on December 16th this year after being confronted by 3 masked men in the Mulolongo area. Since then, Kalana has not been seen.
Kalani Mwema yuko wapi? Brother yangu mdogo ako wapi jameni? Tunaumia sana, tumemtafuta na tumpate. Chui kama ako hai, hatujui, ila tu tunaomba Mungu ili aweze kumwelezesha, kumrudisha nyumbani akiwa mzima. Tutashukuru.
She says she has no knowledge of what her brother did wrong, whom he offended, or when he will be returned dead or alive.
Sasa hao watu walikuwa wamevaa mask, hatujui walipelekwa wapi. Nimetembea jana, nimeshinda nikitembea police station, nikaenda ya Kayole, nikaenda huko Ruaraka, nikaenda tena Utawala, nikapita tena Mlolongo, sikupata jina yake yote. Tunaumia sana, mali alipo aweze kutoka.
Susan asserts that her brother has never publicly criticized the government, leaving them puzzled as to the reason for his abduction.
Ni asla, Mr. President. Ulisema utasimama na asla. Ukasema utatupea haki. Lakini tunateseka tu. Mr. President, please, tuangalie tu pile ulisema.
She alleges that 7 people were involved in the kidnapping with masked faces and identification plates.
Wakati bradangu alishikwa date 16, ilikuwa ni Monday saa 5. Walikuwa wanaenda Mwingi. So kuna yule kijana mwenye walikuwa wanafanya kazi na yeye, walikuwa wanafanya kazi hapo Mlolongo. Walikuwa wameketi tu hivyo, gari mbili za Harrier zikakuja. Zilikuwa na watu 7 ndani. Mtu mmoja alishuka na nilishuku kwamba kuna hao brothers zangu walikuwa hapo ndani juu. Wakati ule mtu alishuka alikuja direct mahali ule kijana alikuwa na akashikwa, akawekwa kwa gari na walikuwa wamejifunga mask. Hata ungejua huyo mtu ni nani, na gari na number plates za gari zote zilikuwa zimefichwa, na hivyo ndivyo gari ilienda, na simu ya huyo kijana mwenye alishikwa saa hiyo ikakuwa mteja mara hiyo. hata haikutake time.
Duncan also claims that his brother was apprehended on the same day on December 16th in Mlolongo area. And since then, communication with his brother has been cut off. He says vehicles with concealed number plates surrounded and abducted his brother as he was heading to work. What remains is only unimaginable pain.
Yeah, we actually appealing to the community. And if those guys they have been seen anywhere, either been murdered or just been locked somewhere, if you have any kind of information, kindly reach us, because we are in so much pain. We haven't gone for Christmas celebration because we have nothing to celebrate.
Wow from Lolongo, like the rest, is also searching for his 35-year-old grandson, Martin Njuko. They remain uncertain whether he is alive or not. He too is said to have disappeared on December 16th in Mlolongo area. Their efforts to locate him has so far borne no fruit. They only have one appeal to the government.
Kwa naomba serikali tusaidie kuweza kutafuta yeye. Sababu mahali yako hatujui ni wapi. Tujui kama ako hai ama amekufa.
Naomba tu serikali yetu iweze kutulinda vile tulikuwa tumeongea tukampea kura Mr. President. Tunakuomba tafadhali uweze tu kurudishia mtoto wetu, bradhangu yuko wapi Kalani. Jameni, tumemtafuta na tumuoni. Tumepata kila mahali, tujampata. Tunaelekea wiki ya pili, tujampata. Tunaumia sana. Mr. President, please, ingilia kati uone watoto wako wanaumia. Ulituambia tukupatie kura. Na mimi mwenyewe nilikupigia kura nikiwa Ndangoreti. Sasa nilichange kura yangu kutoka Kibra nikapeleka Ndangoreti. Nisimame na wewe. Lakini all along watoto wetu wanapotea, wanauliwa. Unapata hata hatuna amani. Hatuna amani kabisa na maisha yetu. Sasa unataka tuhame tuende wapi?
Kelvin Mudhoni, aged 23, is also reported to have been abducted yesterday at 5 p.m. in Githurai 45 area and is still missing. These new cases add to the tally of abductions this month, bringing the total to 13 after the 4 new cases reported today. Notably, cartoonist Gideon Kibet and his brother Ronnie Kiplagat are still unaccounted for. Others missing include Ronnie Kavingo Mbisi, Billy Mwangi, Peter Muteti and Bernard Kavuli. Since the Gen Z's protest began, the new tally, according to activists and Gen Z's, now brings the abduction cases to at least 93. Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Well, heart-wrenching stories right there. And as a result, pressure is mounting on President William Ruto and in his administration to address the growing cases of abductions targeting the young people across the country. Speaking at his home in Madira, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says the abductions are a strategy by the government to silence and discourage the young people from criticizing it. However, the former Deputy President insists the former Deputy President insists the strategy won't work. Our reporter Edwin Bugwa has the details.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called on President William Ruto to break his silence on the ongoing abductions, claiming that the security forces are either involved or unable to address the growing crisis, saying that his silence suggests the actions are being carried out with his full knowledge.
Let me emphasize that killing our children will not quell the anger of the Kenyan people.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called on President William Ruto to break his silence on the ongoing abductions, claiming that the security forces are either involved or unable to address the growing crisis, saying that his silence suggests the actions are being carried out with his full knowledge.
That must be dealt with. Abducting these children and killing them is not a solution.
Speaking at his home in Madira, the former DP claims that a police unit outside the National Police Service Command is behind the abduction of government critics.
There is a unit of police officers that are not under the command of the Inspector General of Police that are carrying out these abductions and killings, led by a certain Mr. Abel. Will be giving a second name, in the next 1 week or so. There's a unit of officers drawn from across security agencies that are not under the command of the Inspector General of Police. Abel is a cousin to a very senior government official in this administration. And if this unit is not dismantled, we'll be giving the name of the building and the full names of that officer and his cousin in this administration.
Moreover, the former DP faulted the National Intelligence Service for allegedly turning a blind eye to missing Kenyans, even as he castigated the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja's statement, distancing security agencies' involvement in abductions.
Kenyans are very worried people. When the Inspector General of Police says that the police are not involved in these abductions, and then he admits they are happening, what happens? The National Police Service have a constitutional duty to protect life and property. When the Inspector General of Police admits that he is helpless, what are the people of Kenya supposed to do?
Referring to sentiments he made against the National Intelligence Service Director General Nordin Haji, blaming him for anti-government protest in June, Gachagua has demanded that Haji steps down from his position.
When I raised concerns about the dysfunctionality of the National Intelligence Service, I was accused of being insubordinate. However, the events of recent months have regrettably validated my position. President William Ruto must take full responsibility and immediately address these egregious violations.
In the last 4 days, at least 5 youths have forcibly disappeared and their whereabouts remain unknown. Edwin Mbogwa, K24.
Well, on that note, we take our very first break here on Evening Edition. More stories to come, including the strings of abductions. Do not miss.
As we celebrate this joyful season, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for your support throughout the year.